The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, it's a full moon tonight, I think. He's looking a little hairy. I've already broke him. And I've got to keep talking until he can talk. Because the music is going and I can't really stop it.
Earball.
You're not a cat?
Well, I mean, I swallowed a cat.
That poor feline.
Why, thank you. Wait a minute, I'm supposed to be a wolf. What the heck happened?
I'm just wondering why your hair suddenly turned pink.
Yeah. Drew, what did you do?
I did nothing.
Are you sure?
Barry said,
Where is it?
Steal, did you do something? Oh, that stopped the music real quick. Didn't realize it would do that. She didn't do anything either.
Oh, man, I got turned into a dog. I'm supposed to be a wolf here.
I didn't know that would stop the music that fast. I thought it would play on top of it, but anyway.
Why, thank you. Ruff. Wait a minute, that's supposed to be a wolf, not a dog. Anyways. Why, thank you. But let me introduce our co-host, a man who is trying to avoid the ice cream guy. Welcome, Drew.
I love Rocky Road. To put another scoop on my ice cream. That's not how the song goes. There is a Weird Al has a song, and I don't remember the lyrics. I just know it's sung to the tune of I Like Rock and Roll, but it's I Like Rocky Road.
Mm-hmm.
So put another scoop on the cone, baby. That's not the actual lyric, but whatever. Moving on. Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing very good. I'm excited for this weekend. I've got a 5-day weekend, which I am.
Lucky you. 5 days.
Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 days.
Like I said, lucky you.
Yeah.
I only got 4.
Yeah, because it was more, I took 2 days off here or 2 days off here, so they couldn't exactly give me 6 days. It was like,
right.
So why don't you take this day off? It makes it 5 days, and plus you still get paid for that additional day.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So
is it the Thursday or the Tuesday?
It's the Thursday.
So you only have one more day to work.
Exactly.
You lucky dog, you.
Right.
Be wary, folks. There's going to be a lot of dog puns tonight.
No, you think?
I mean, there's a lot of dog puns most nights, but
true.
This is actually a dog movie we're reviewing tonight. We are actually reviewing 100% Wolf, which is available on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only place it's available.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that in a minute. In the meantime, Jacob, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Looking forward to the weekend.
I already asked that question.
You did.
Moving on.
Yeah, looking forward to the weekend. I've got one more day of work. It was a very long weekend. I went down to my parents' place to help install a island countertop. I left, and they were working on the second part of this island monstrosity. I pray and hope they were able to get it in. Monstrosity. This thing was big. I'm still curious how, well, the other parts are smaller, so yeah, it shouldn't be that bad, but it's going to be a beast to get that thing done.
Right.
Other than that, I did a lot of driving, not so much sleep, a lot of work, a lot of standing out the sun, getting a little overheated. But other than that, it was a good weekend. It was a good weekend. Got back to work. Very pleasant first 2 days back. Very, 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 very fortunate in that way. Other than that, I'm most definitely, I'm looking forward to the weekend because we're going on a retreat with our singles class from our church. And they
will be subjected to us watching at least being in the same house as we watch our first movie for that week.
Yeah.
For that month. Because we have to watch at least one while we're there.
Yeah, we're still gonna figure out the date on that because there's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday.
Monday, I'm assuming, is going to be a very quick wake up, get packed, get out of there.
Yeah,
We
eat breakfast, leave.
Yeah, we'll probably be out of there before lunch.
Probably.
My assumption is, not knowing the exact timetable,
Right.
but still waiting on your girlfriend and her mom to get there.
Mm-hmm.
We may have some time Friday
Mm-hmm.
to get it out of the way before we have to subject too many people to the Emoji Movie.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Because I know
See Patrick Stewart as he's not a chocolate ice cream cone, but that's what he looks like.
He does. But either or, yeah, we're going there. Because I know, be like, you already plan to go see Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan,
yes,
in theaters. Because I'm planning to come along,
and we're meeting some friends of mine up there.
Oh, okay,
for that showing.
Nice. And I know me and my girlfriend are planning, because originally we weren't planning to do this, but she decided she wanted to go on a date on Sunday. It's like, okay, fine, no problem.
Oh,
yeah, because that was like, oh, okay. She told me that like 3 weeks ago, I think. But yeah,
I hope that intersects at a good time with everything.
I hope so. She's the one teaching.
Yeah, and our movie's at 7.
Yeah. Well, is it Saturday or Sunday? Sunday. Okay.
That's why I'm wondering.
Okay. So yeah, I thought it was on Saturday. I honestly did.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's fine.
Everything is mobile as long as she's willing to work with us.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm going to go see it anyway. I may have to get someone I may have to steal the van to do it, but how often do you get to see a Star Trek movie in the theater? I mean, come on.
Probably one of the best films ever made.
Yes. One of the best films ever made.
One of the best films ever made in theaters.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I got one more day of work, and yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
Alrighty.
How about you?
Well, if you can't tell by listening, I'm fighting sinus congestion. Literally, I woke up Saturday morning and I didn't feel like I was worth shooting. Because apparently a storm blew in late Friday night, early Saturday morning. And I was not the only person who got hit by this.
I hear.
A lot of people got hit by this. Heck, our friend Dallas over at Geek Devotions, even though he's over in Shreveport,
really
got hit by this.
Really?
So yeah, this is a widespread series of sinus failures.
Ugh, not fun.
No, it's not fun. But thankfully, I am mostly over it. Except I'm still having to mostly breathe through my mouth and not through my nose.
So you're pulling a Lord Vader.
Maybe. Anyway, other than that, I've had a good week. It's a little bit busy at work. Because, it's always busy the week before you go on vacation.
Of course.
Even if you're not trying to get ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not trying to get ahead. I don't think we're going to be in that big an issue. But of course, they want everything done right now. So, c'est la vie.
True.
So, yeah, pretty much that's how I'm doing. I do have one question, though, for you, Jacob.
What have you been watching?
What have I been watching? So, obviously, I was busy most of the week. The only thing we really watched was like cooking shows.
Ugh.
Which are like baking shows. Sorry, like baking competitions.
Cooking.
Yeah, cooking. They were fun, but it's something my mom likes to watch.
Right.
And oh yeah, my brother. I think it was Thursday night. I think it was Thursday night the night I got there. Jim was like, "Oh yeah, you got to watch this. This is the greatest show ever." I'm like, "What? Harley Quinn?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll bite."
Okay, how bad is it?
Oh, it'd be like if you're not a fan of extreme violence,
Let me ask you the question differently. If my favorite version of Harley Quinn is the one from Batman the Animated Series, would I like this?
No.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I'm watching this and be like, I am cringing every second. It's like, whoa, okay, this is not for me. But I watched the first episode and I'm like, nope, this is not for me. I got called a few funny names for that, but I don't care.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So yes, I watched the first episode of Harley Quinn, and I probably will not watch the rest of it because I was turned off by it extremely.
Understandable.
All right, so after watching 100% Wolf, like sometimes I need to do is to cleanse my palate.
What did you cleanse your palate with this week?
The OG Thundercats of all shows.
It made sense. You leave the dogs, you go to the cats.
Exactly.
Next thing you'll know, you'll be watching Thunderbirds. Argo. Why do I get the feeling you don't know what Thunderbirds Argo is?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I need to find something for next year.
Okay.
It's a British TV show.
Yeah.
There is a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is filmed in what they call marionette.
Oh, Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds. Argo.
Oh, okay. I didn't really you said Argo, and I was like,
Yeah.
what's
Thunderbirds
Argo?
I
Okay.
admit I kept putting a space between Thunderbirds and Argo.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about there. I've never seen any of it.
Either way, that movie does need to be on the list.
All right.
But yeah, it's like, okay, you did dogs, you did birds, you did dogs,
Cats?
you did cats. Next are birds. After that, well, it'll be time for your yearly Little Mermaid watch. So fish.
So I did watch a series that you have been recommending. I watched the first 2 episodes of She-Hulk. Those were fun.
Yes, they are fun.
They were fun. They were entertaining.
Now let me ask you this, because this is what I keep hearing from everyone and their dog. No, I don't actually hear dogs speak, except for you.
Rough.
But
hey!
You walked into that. Are you getting a bad Uncanny Valley from She-Hulk?
A little bit.
I get a little bit of it too, but I think part of it is the fact that you've got older Hulk next to her, and he's obviously got some more texture to his skin,
right?
Because he's older and he's starting to wrinkle a little bit,
maybe
because he's Mark Ruffalo's got to be in his 50s by now,
mm-hmm.
and so hers is a little bit smoother and maybe a little too smooth. I'm not sure yet, but for the most part, I don't have the same problem most people have. I think, but anyway.
I like it. Be like there's a certain scene that, you know, certain parts of the political view like just go on and on about this scene, and I watched their clip and I'm like, I wonder what the context is. So watching this episode and like finally getting to this scene, if you don't know what the scene is where She-Hulk is describing everything she has to deal with on a daily basis.
Yes.
And how she has to deal with anger more probably than Bruce does. And so a certain party, I won't name names or name parties, but we're just rattling on and on and on about this and this and this. And I was like, there's got to be context missing somewhere. And sure enough, context was missing.
Yes.
So in the scene where she's describing how frustrating her life is and how, you know, if she does this and she does this and she does this, be like, I take out more frustration than you do. And the next scene, she's turning green. I'm like, oh, okay, that's funny. That's ironic.
See, my thought on this has been, if it had been that scene kind of by itself,
yeah, and
for the most part she was, you know, we didn't see much of her having to deal with her anger before that point, or having to deal with that some of her snottier coworkers.
Oh yeah.
I would have felt a little bit more.
They actually put context into it.
I would have felt that was pushing a political agenda a little too much.
Yeah.
I have a different issue though with that scene.
Okay.
She goes on and on about how, you know, she's had stuff mansplained to her. She's had people treat her like she's a piece of meat because she's a woman,
which you shouldn't do anyway.
You shouldn't do, but she, you know, you do get the feeling they look down on her and look at her as a sexual object.
Right.
Did you watch the end credits scene?
Of which one?
Both. Well, the first one mainly is what I'm getting at.
The first one. Hold on. Remind me of that one.
Oh, yes. She and Hulk both in their Hulk forms,
Mhm.
are at the bar drinking, and she's
Oh.
acting drunk.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
And she convinces the Hulk to tell her when Captain America
lost his
lost his
virginity.
virginity.
Yeah, that's right.
And she ends it by saying, "Yes, I knew it. Captain America."
Cut off.
And I'm sitting there going, "You hypocritical piece of work. You are mad that people treated you like a piece of meat, and then you do it to somebody else."
I would agree in that context. Yes, that was a little bit frustrating.
Granted, I know that there is a lot of the women out there that do have to deal with this a lot worse than a lot of guys do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I am not trying to take that away from y'all at all, and I would like to take it away from y'all from having to deal with that. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm not trying to take away your feelings, saying they're not worth what they are. What I'm saying is, you should not immediately turn around and kind of do that to your cousin and convince him to, because that's going to make him feel awkward. It's like, you're telling me my best friend is hot, and I don't know. I feel it's a little hypocritical treating Cap that way when you don't want to be treated that way. Well, especially since in a way you're coworkers.
True. So
you may
true.
not have worked together yet, but
true. Eventually, at some point.
Maybe.
But you
do have a worker in common in the Hulk.
True. One of my main problems with this story, and there again, it's this the dawning of a new superhero, someone who is very cocky, very boasters in who they are. And she's the entire time is saying, "I'm right, you're wrong," but the Hulk is actually right for probably 90% of it. Yeah. Where it's
and granted, she is very used to everyone telling her how to do her business, and to some degree, she doesn't want people to tell her to do her business anymore.
Which is granted, and understandable.
She keeps having people needing to tell her how to do her business,
right?
Because of just the situation and how it comes up, and she really is in a position where she needs help from, in this instance, a man.
Yeah,
it's her cousin, so he's not going to think of her that way, but still,
right?
Cousin. I couldn't remember if they were cousins or
cousin. I do like
and niece.
Yeah, going into some more spoiler territory of this episode, 13-1 spoiler on She-Hulk. The how they explain how she becomes She-Hulk, that was very well done.
Yeah, it's different than the comics, but then, like I said on a Facebook post the other day, neither the DC or Marvel movies are meant to be adaptations of the comics. They are meant to be other stories being told in the same multiverse as the comics.
Right.
In the same way you can't get mad at, say, Ultimate Marvel for changing a origin, you can't get mad at this for changing an origin.
Right.
Or story beats or whatever.
Right.
Anyways.
I thought it was good. I'm definitely going to watch the third episode when that comes out on Thursday, which I'm off. Yay, happy dance. But other than that, I started watching another. It was on Disney Plus. I just got finished watching Tangled, our episode on the one they have to go back to the island.
Yes,
finished that one, and so I was looking around. It's like, okay, I've got time to kill. I can work on my notes, what have you. And I found one. It's called Apollo Return to the Moon.
Okay.
It's on Netflix. It's from National Geographic, but you watch it on Disney Plus. I said Netflix earlier. My apologies. That's really good. It kind of recaps the NASA and the former NASA, Apollo 1, Apollo what's Apollo 11, Apollo 13, and I think at that point they were just getting to Apollo 13. Okay. And I've always loved space travel. It's like
space is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a place you can't run and be like, all you hear is screams.
Except in space, no one can hear you scream.
That's the line I was looking for. Thank you. So yeah, I've watched that.
That's because there's no medium for the sound to travel through. Haha. I do. That's why you shouldn't be able to hear explosions in space either.
True.
Star Trek and Star Wars. Of course, then it would be boring to watch. Moving
Exactly.
on. Except Firefly did that, and it didn't technically break anything. But anyway.
Right. Anyways. Yeah, that's all I've been watching right now. What about you?
Well, like you, I've been watching She-Hulk on Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to that next episode. Another show started this last week on a Thursday that I'm not going to get into too much because, according to the poll, this is very much likely something we'll be reviewing in October so far.
Oh, okay. I think I walked in. You were watching a little bit of it earlier.
I was I'm specifically talking about season 3 of episode 1 of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Yeah.
I decided, since it does kind of look like we're going to be reviewing 2 and 3, I wanted to rewatch season 1 again.
Okay.
So I can kind of get caught up.
Yeah.
But season 3 hit me in what I kind of like to call a nostalgia hole.
A nostalgia hole.
You ever watch something and all of a sudden you just don't care if it's good or bad or what? You're just kind of stuck in this hole for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Where you're just kind of like, you remember what it's like being 12 years old again, watching a movie on the big screen that you absolutely love.
Yeah.
That's what this episode did to me.
Okay.
Because not to get too far into it, but well, let me ask you this, because you might be able to figure this out.
Okay.
I'm obviously talking about Star Trek movies.
Mm-hmm.
Which Star Trek movie would have come out when I would have been 10, 12 years old?
Hold
Somewhere
on.
in that range.
So what year would that have been?
I don't remember the year.
Let's see. 10, 12 years old. You're
Be
two.
like 95 to 98.
Star Trek. That would have been the New Generation cast.
Yes.
That would have been.
Which is the good one?
Oh, that would have been Generations. Or Insurrection?
No. Insurrection was movie 3.
Okay.
I'm referring to movie 2.
Oh, okay. Movie 2. Okay.
First Contact.
First Contact. Okay, yeah. I always forget about that one.
Which is amazing because it's the best one of the 4 Next Generation films.
Oh, okay.
Well, do you remember what happens in that film?
Yes.
Okay. Our 4 lower deckers
Mm-hmm.
have a reason to have to go to historic Bozeman, Montana, which has been turned into an educational theme park to teach about, the First Contact.
Yeah.
A certain guest star from that movie reprises his role.
Really?
Yeah. And it was one of those I heard, it's like, there's no way they got him to come back for this. Because it's James Cromwell.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of Hollywood royalty from
A little
way
bit.
back. He has to command a bit of a price. And he is other than that, has only returned one other time, and that was through that was in Star Trek Enterprise. Through some stuff he filmed separately so they could put it on a view screen to show like the historical stuff.
Yeah.
Talking about, from First Contact to the launch of the first Warp 5 vessel. He's not done a lot. He's not been in a lot of Star Trek since First Contact.
Yeah.
And he plays a holographic version of himself.
Huh.
Like, you know how when you're in a ride at Disney World and the little screen comes on and says, hey, you caught me doing something here. And you want to make sure you don't bring any snacks or any drinks on the ride because none of that's allowed here, sort of a thing.
I can.
You know what I'm talking about?
I've never been to Disney World, but I've
seen the clips.
Yes, I've seen the clips. Yes.
I don't think those clips were there when I was at Disney World, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
But they do kind of that thing here.
Okay.
With him saying those lines, because they are hijacking a park ride based off the Phoenix that actually launches into space and goes to Warp 1.
Okay.
And they have to hijack the thing. I'm not going to tell you why.
Okay. Knowing this show,
there's a good reason.
Yeah.
It's a very good reason. But this entire time it's going through, they play the First Contact theme as they're coming into Bozeman. you get James Cromwell there. You get these little throwbacks to things like the Vulcan spaceship playground for the kids to play on.
Right.
You get the bar with its amazing one song jukebox, which plays Ooby Dooby.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting there going, "You're about to take off in a replica of the Phoenix. Please play the song. Please play the song." And they're getting in there, and the ride starts up, and a holographic James Cromwell, as Ephraim Cochrane, he's going through. He's obviously like the robot on the Star Tours ride, kind of.
Yeah.
At Disney World and Disneyland, I think it's there too. He's doing the whole thing, and then right as he's getting ready to take off, he says, and of course, he holds up the green hexagonal disc from the movie, puts it in the player, and hits play, and we get Magic Carpet Ride. And I'm like, I'm home. I'm 12 years old again.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I was like, I love this. This is great.
Oh my gosh.
It's a good episode.
I would I can tell.
That's the nostalgia hole I was in
Right.
when I watched that episode Thursday when I got home from Bible study after I watched She-Hulk. Because I forgot that was actually coming back on. So I'm actually looking forward to this next one because it looks like it's going to be good too. But I don't want to get too much more into what that show is until we do get a chance to review it.
That is true. Okay, speaking of She-Hulk, you mentioned earlier like how old Mark Ruffalo was. Yeah. He's actually 54.
See, I was not far off.
No, you weren't.
That means he was 42 during Avengers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good night. Anyway, also I did go back and start watching through season 1 because I wanted to get caught up in case we do that.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a couple more episodes of Power Rangers Dino Fury. That's it's not a bad show.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a modern kids show. I'll put it that way. It's just a little bit too clean, if that makes sense.
I gotcha.
I don't know another good way to put it, but it does feel kind of like it feels like it's a Disney Channel original television show. They didn't put the laugh track in because it's not technically a sitcom.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
That does make sense.
It's really sad when you're looking back at it and go, at least the original Power Rangers, they actually had questions about what the crud was going on. You people are accepting this far too easily. You've got alien dinosaurs you're dealing with on a regular basis, for crying out loud.
And it's just like,
It's like, oh, I didn't realize I was going to get to be a superhero today.
Oh, gosh.
Like, you're an adult working for essentially BuzzFeed. You should be a little more cynical than this. But,
what was it? I can't remember who it was. I think it was Nathan from Monster Island Football.
Marchand.
Because he put a clip out there for something, and it was, I can't remember what season, but it was like one of the worst. It was like
may have been Operation Overdrive.
No, it wasn't Overdrive.
That's a bad season.
It was one of the more modern ones that they recently came out. It was like Ninja
Jungle Fury. I'm just kind of going in order.
Samurai.
Yeah, he just started Samurai because they just released their RPM episode over at the Power Trip.
Yeah. So be like, I'm watching this episode and it's so freaking stilted.
I watched that whole series.
And
I actually thought, for what this is, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not that great, but it's not that bad. And then Megaforce happens.
Eek. It's like, Saban, what did you do?
Now, I will say that Dino Fury, granted, I have not seen any Power Rangers between halfway through Super Megaforce until I started Dino Fury. So it's like half. I didn't watch any half of the last half of Super Megaforce. Yep. I didn't watch any of, was it Ninja Steel that was that right after that?
Ninja Steel.
or
I
Dino
watched the-
Charge.
I watched the first episode of Ninja Steel. That was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one. I didn't watch Dino Charge, and I didn't watch Beast Morphers. I think that's
Yeah.
the other 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I suspect Beast Morphers has a little has got this, since it's the same writing team as Dino Fury.
Mm,
It's a little bit better
maybe.
than the others, and I've heard Dino Charge is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it better be. It's based off Kyoryuger, and that was a good season of Sentai.
And I think they just released the concept of what they're doing for the new season.
Cosmic Fury, which will be an extension of Dino Fury.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's based. I don't remember which one it's based on. The gem one. That's all I remember. It's before the modern one. That's all I really know.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I admittedly have not kept up with Sentai as much as, well, I don't really need to. It's a Japanese show that technically isn't airing over here. So,
right.
Anyway. Excuse me. But yeah, that's where, that's pretty much what I've been watching. Jacob, I think we need to find out what's in the news.
Correct.
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, Deedlit. Excuse me. Let me get to my notes. I found something while I had finished doing notes, which I couldn't find a single thing we're talking about on news. Like absolutely nothing. I might be mistaken. Some people are like, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? Be like, I didn't find it.
It was a fairly quiet news.
Yeah, it's been fairly quiet. I did notice, I did find something on avclub.com. It's Batman the Cape Crusader and the Urkel animated Christmas special, which has also been canceled from the HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
There are reports, is reportedly still being in production, with Hulu, Netflix, and Apple all expressing interest in the project. So they may not be completely dead.
Cool.
Yeah, so it'd be like there's like the projects themselves be like this is hearsay, be like those projects maybe still be worked on, maybe. So they might find a home somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
In which I think the Cape Crusader might be a really good idea. Urkel, that would sound like a fun idea if they can get it off the ground.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that was about it. The far as I can understand, that was all we had in the news.
Retro Rewind in the chat does remind us that there was a Fern Gully 30th anniversary release.
Yes. Thank you, Retro. Yes, the 30th anniversary.
That would be Francisco from that podcast, by the way.
Thank you, Francisco. Yeah, that recently came out. G Kids recently released that. And it's on Blu-ray. It's available basically anywhere. You can go to gkids.com and go pick it up. For Blu-ray and DVD, it's been remastered and reworked. This was a movie that came out in the early 90s. I remember very fondly. We were going to review it this year in our normal schedule until we changed for...
we ran bad movie months in September, so
yeah.
It'll come probably back up in February, maybe February.
Maybe.
We haven't discussed what we're doing January yet.
No, we haven't.
That's normally where our fourth theme month is.
Yeah.
Since we're doing this one in September, I don't know if we're rearranging the schedule that late because we haven't we haven't even discussed December yet.
No, we haven't.
So anyway.
But yeah, it's coming. I do plan on getting a copy of my own because I remember as very fond nostalgic memories of this film. Robin Williams is Batty. Tim Curry is Toxic, which is be like if you watch that as a kid, it's like, oh my gosh, it's frightening. It's frightening.
All I know is I got about 30 minutes into that movie and never watched it again because it scared me as a child.
That's understandable.
Just saying.
So yeah, that's coming out. If you want to grab your own copy and fulfill that nostalgic love for a movie you loved as a child, go pick it up.
Now there is another one I know of that it's kind of tangentially related because, I mean, it's based on a movie that we will probably do at some point, be due to it being stop motion animation.
Okay.
But the reason we haven't touched it yet is because it was one of those movies we did for Movie of the Week podcast back when that was a thing.
Yeah.
And that's King Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Because Disney Plus is making a King Kong
On
TV series.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering how that's possible legally, it's because technically King Kong is owned by Universal. Kong is owned by Legendary. None of them own the rights to the novelization of the first book, which is in the public domain. So literally, as long as you're making it about the the book, you can do whatever you can do any King Kong thing you want. And if you really want more information on that, go check out was it the Year of Kong that Nate Marchand did at the beginning of
something like that.
The beginning of the Monster on Film Vaults, like the first 30 episodes, or nearly the first full year of that show over there. So yeah, go check that out. And Retro also says if we mentioned that they did a season 2 of Cuphead out on Netflix. The Cuphead show.
Yeah,
which we haven't talked about the Cuphead show outside of the 2 episodes of that I watched.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It's just it was okay.
And
it must have done well enough that it's getting a second season.
True.
Especially with, what was it? How many animated stuff did Netflix kill last year?
A lot.
And they were almost being worse than Discovery has been with the HBO Max stuff.
Right.
So anyway, I think that's the rest of the news unless you have thought of something else.
That is all I can think of.
All right. Well, then we need to jump into the spoiler-free section of our review of 100% Wolf.
Arr!
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
Am I correct in thinking this is the first time we've both watched this movie?
Yes.
Okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not great.
True.
It's a very safe movie. It does play a lot of stuff very safe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you not to go watch it, but I do understand why its rating is what it is. It's just kind of a competent movie.
Okay.
I know that does not sound like glowing praise, and it's not meant to be. It's because it reminds me of a Cartoon Network film.
Okay. That was made in Australia.
It's not great. It does the job. It's just not even that, because Cartoon Network, at least they didn't talk down to children. They kind of wrote for the older, not the preteens, and assumed the kids could keep up, would watch up to it.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure where this fits on there. To some degree, it feels like it was meant for preteens, but yet it does not have a preteen edge to it outside of like nods here and there. Like I said, it's an okay film. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, being my first time watching this film, I was coming at it from the viewer perspective, and every second I was like, nope. And then about halfway through the film, I'm still just like rolling my eyes watching this film. I'm like, this is a kid's film, Jacob. Just remember that. It's a kid's film. This is not designed for, the late 30s, upper 40 crowd, or mid or early 40s crowd.
Well, most of the films that we review on here are not intended for our audience.
That is true. So I'm going to
get it. I think we are of the same thought on this, and that we may have accidentally started Bad Movie Month a week early.
That is true.
Without meaning to.
Possibly.
But I still don't think this is as bad as Emoji Movie. But
looking at it, just like it's got some good points. I can understand where it'd be like, this is very much a kid's show or kids movie. It's very safe. I got a lot of disagreements on this film. But have to keep in mind this is a kids movie. And I remember watching this for the trailers. I was like, dude, this looks really good. I'm not exactly thrilled like after watching this movie. Hint the palate cleanser. But
I think I fell asleep right after I finished watching this movie.
wow.
I stayed awake for the whole thing, but when I got done, I think I fell asleep.
Wow.
It'd been at the end of a long day, but
Agreed. Yeah. Is it worth watching? Yes. Is it one of these movies you have to go watch? No. It's very much a family friendly movie. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this movie.
all right, then are you ready to move into the next section?
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll hit the spoiler filled section right after this word from our sponsors. And by sponsors, I mean Podcast Network.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out Stunning and Brave, where each week hosts Chris Cowan of the Babylon Bee and Nate Henderson of Some Boring Budgeting Job confess their privilege, spotlight stunning social media posts, and fabricate outrage, all while keeping you super woke and enlightened. They will make you laugh. That's right.
You have no choice.
Check out Stunning and Brave at stunningandbrave.net.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Josh Adams, Ashley Ruiz, Book of Gaming.
To get your name on the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews, and special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon.
I'm working on it.
It's been a busy month. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie 100% Wolf. Listener discretion is advised. 100% Wolf was written and directed by Alexis Standerman. And if I said your name wrong, Alexis, or however you say that, I apologize, because I honestly don't know how to pronounce Alex S. other than that. Alex's? I don't know. It just sounds, I keep thinking it's.
Don't get me lying.
It thinks like it should be Alex's, but that sounds too close to Alexis. But it's not Alexis because it's not spelled Alexis. Also, Alexis is no, there's guys named Alexis.
Yeah.
Never mind. Anyway, it was also written by Ronald Allen, David Breen, Finn Edquist, and Tiffany Zenel. Cast for this includes Elias Swindells as Freddie Lupin. He was Ramsey in something called Retrograde. Fair warning, a lot of these names, I had no idea of anything they had been in, and I skipped a bunch that this was their only voice role. Lauren Gray was the voice of Twitchy, and she was Clem Crane in Outsiders. Adrienne Daff played Harriet, and she was Tess in Small Town Hackers. Here's one you'll know. Jane Lynch was the commander, and she was Calhoun in Wreck-It Ralph. Jai Courtney, who played Flash Art, was Boomerang in the first Suicide Squad movie. You know, the guy who got blown up in the first 5 minutes?
Yeah.
To show that they meant that they would kill everybody?
Yeah.
Akmal Saleh played Hamish, and he played a character named Jacko in The Wild Adventures of Blinky Bill. I have no idea what that was, but I saw the words Blinky Bill and I laughed. Cam Ralph was the voice of Stu the dog catcher and additional voices. And he apparently played a character named Giggle Fangs in Hoot Hoot Go, whatever that is. Liam Graham was Chariot, and he played Pete in Hounds of Love. I'll admit, a lot of these movies I picked, if I didn't know what they were, I picked the goofiest sounding thing I could find.
Right.
Magda Subansky played Mrs. Mutton, and she was Esme Hoggett in Babe, opposite Zefram Cochrane, or James Cromwell.
Really?
Yeah.
You call him by his character name.
I kept calling him James Cromwell when I was talking about him in the show, and now I'm calling him Zefram Cochrane now that I need to call him James Cromwell. I am so sorry. They're both hard names to say, if we're being honest. Rhys Darby was the voice of Foxwell Cripp, and he played the character Anton in the movie version of In What We Do in the Shadows. Rupert Dagus played Hotspur, and he played a character in Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, but I didn't write down what character that was.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. And then Samara Weaving played Batty, and she played Thea in Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Really?
Yes. Kingdom Hearts connections for this? No direct connection. However, Sergeant Calhoun, who is played by Jane Lynch in Wreck-It Ralph, does appear in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross.
Okay.
That's the closest I could get you.
I gotcha.
And it's a game that has no voice acting in it. So, yeah. That's the cast and everything. What we got in info and stuff?
All right. So, info and stuff. IMDb, it has a 5.6 out of 10. It's available on Hulu in the United States. Its production was by Flying Bark Production. I'm not kidding on this.
Oh, I saw that name. I figured that had to be a production studio made for the production of this film.
Possibly.
It does happen.
I'm probably going to mispronounce this word, but
makes sense. It's Australian. This whole movie is Australian.
It is. Which this was the idea that it was made by Australians in Australia.
Yeah,
was fascinating. I found that very interesting.
About the most interesting thing in this film.
Samissa Pty Limited, distributed here in the United States by Hulu. Its release date was May 29th, 2020. Box office. It didn't really have much of a box office, but according to what I've discovered, it earned a total of $7.7 or $8.1 million worldwide. It did have a sequel in a TV series. It had a 26-episode TV series called 100% Wolf: Legend of the Wolfstone, Season 1, that aired on ABC ME from December 28th, 2020. So that is all. Apparently there is thought and rumor and possible actual legitimate sequel of what they're calling 200% Wolf.
Well, that's the only sequel name that would make sense.
That is true.
Maybe then he'll be a buffer poodle.
A buffer poodle.
Well, instead of being a aware toy poodle, he'd be an actual were poodle.
True.
No, they just call him a were poodle throughout the whole thing. They never mention the fact that he's a toy poodle.
Super bark. Ruff.
Wrong dog.
Yeah,
this isn't Bolt.
Yes.
All right, you ready for the summary?
In some cases, I really wish I was watching Bolt right now.
I wish we were reviewing Bolt right now. You ready?
Yeah.
Freddie Lupin is the young heir to a werewolf pack that has been protecting their local town for years. When he attempts to follow his family during their nightly patrol using a magical moonstone, he loses the moonstone to Foxwell Cripp, an ice cream man, and Flashard is apparently killed when he falls off a cliff. Freddy's Uncle Hotspur becomes the new pack leader. Of course, he's only supposed to be a regent, technically.
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to be holding it for Freddy until Freddy
becomes
old enough to become a werewolf, to transform for the first time. But yeah, that's not going to happen. 6 years later, the time comes for Freddy to experience his first wolf transformation.
Wolfie.
But despite the encouragement of long-time housekeeper Miss Mutton, he is humiliated when he turns into a poodle instead. Faced with the disdain of his pack, Freddy is challenged to prove his wolf status by moonrise the next day or risk being banished. Freddy decides to try and retrieve the moonstone from Crip. While searching in town, Freddy befriends Batty, a stray dog, also known as Houndini, for her ability to escape the dog catchers consistently. Batty leads her to Crypt, where they are both caught by dog catchers and placed in Coldfax dog pound. After an escape attempt goes wrong, Freddy is sent to a pit with the Beast, an unknown monster that supposedly eats dogs. Freddy learns that the Beast is actually his father. The dog catchers captured Flashheart after he was injured by the fall, and Hotspur left him in Coldfax with a silver bracelet to keep him trapped in his wolf state. Batty and the other dogs escape into the vents and help Freddy free his father. Freddy leads Flashheart and the dogs home to confront Hotspur. Crip attacks the other wolves with a massive silver concentrate, but Freddy stops Crip's attack. Excuse me. Hotspur tries to attack while the other wolves are weakened by the silver, but the dogs are able to get the wolves to safety while Freddy lures his uncle to the mansion roof. Transforming back into a poodle in the moonlight and accepting his form, Freddy lets out a loud roar to affirm his status as an alpha wolf, sending Hotspur back into the mansion, affirming his failure as a leader. Sometime later, Freddy's reflections reveal that not only have werewolves and dogs gotten on better terms, but the pack has also opened the mansion up to all dogs, while Hotspur and his children reduced to dog walkers and picking up after the mutts, while Coldfax is shut down. Flashheart has returned to his old role as pack leader, but assures Freddy that he is proud of him and believes he will be a good leader when the time comes. Excuse me. This movie is apparently adapted from Jane Lyons' 2009 novel of the same name, and that is the only trivia I could find for this film.
Really?
Yes. So, what is your first like?
My first like is watching this film. I'm thinking, okay, they brought this plot point up. They brought this plot point up. They brought this plot. It's never going to come back up. Because I'm thinking in my mind, like, it's only going to run like one or two plot points, and they're never going to come back to any of these. Never. I was pleasantly surprised on all points on this movie. With they bring up the dog pound, they bring up Hotspur, they bring up like all these little different things. So the ice cream man, they brought him back. They just it was surprising they picked up on all the little hints or little plot points they brought up throughout the film, and they actually stuck to it. And I was like, okay, that's something.
Yeah,
that's something to this film. And like some films, they absolutely just drop everything to go this direction, and then they just like Ultimate Avengers last week.
Yeah,
it was just like, what in the you're setting all this stuff and you drop it for a fight with one of your characters. This movie, they actually consistently keep with their plot points and have a continuation with that plot point. It may not make a whole lot of sense in some capacities, but they keep with the plot points and they continue with that stuff. And I thought that was very, very good from a story writing standpoint. What about you?
I like that Hotspur appears to have actually thought his plan all the way through.
Yeah.
To the fact that he has contingency plans when he finds out the dog catchers actually picked up his brother.
His nephew?
No, I mean his brother.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At the beginning of the film. And it's revealed later that he thought through that he did that, but yeah, he probably would have liked it if his brother had died, but he got knocked out and then got picked up by the dog pound.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Well, I'll just keep him locked up in here so he can't come back.
Mm.
And we'll apparently buy out the dog pound so we can make sure he never comes back, assuming he didn't already own the dog pound.
Right.
That part is never explained if he owned it before then or not. But either way, it's not really important.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder. Obviously, Hotspur kept saying that his nephew was not a high howler material.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of wonder if he somehow knew he wasn't going to turn into a wolf. because he never seemed nervous during that initial scene,
Yeah.
the Wolfen scene. So the fact that he turned into a dog, which
Mhm.
would be disgraceful for them as far as they're concerned at the
Right.
time, it's almost like he saw it coming.
Mm.
He knew that's what was going to happen.
Mm.
And maybe that's because of who his mother is that we never got to meet.
True.
But I don't know. So yeah, it really felt like Hotspur was a very competent villain. The only thing he did not account for was the ice cream man that had the moonstone. More on that later.
Right.
What's your second like?
The predictability of this movie. Like you can see plot points coming ahead, like there again, they keep with their plot points.
Yeah.
And it's not we're gonna drop every single thing because we're incompetent writers. Like like I said before, plot points are held through to the end. And I like the predictability where it's one of those films where it's like, okay, you see things coming a mile away. It's like, oh, okay, when what's our main character's name again?
Freddy.
When Freddy is thrown into the beast lair, and I'm like, it's okay, it's the dad. It has to be the dad.
Oh, please. I knew it the minute they said, what's down there? It's like, oh, it's a beast that eats dogs. It's the dad.
Mm.
I knew it as soon as they said that. It's like,
Mm.
well, at least they didn't kill him. That's at least different from Lion King.
That is true.
So much that early part felt like they were setting up the the werewolf version of the Lion King.
Yeah. It was it's predictable, but it's not eye-rolling predictable. It's like, oh, okay. It's not the, oh my gosh, they're doing this. But it's like, oh, okay, here's a nice pleasant surprise we saw coming. But yeah, just like it was a very predictable, but not stupidly tragic.
Yes.
What is your second like?
I thought the character of Batty was extremely believable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's obviously she has the tragic backstory
Mm-hmm.
of the one puppy of the litter who didn't get picked up at the toy store, at the pet store.
Oh gosh,
I do have to wonder why the pet shop owner then just puts her in a box and sets her outside as if, well, there's no other puppies to put in the window, and I've got to go do something else. So bye. I do have to wonder about that, but
yeah.
Her whole backstory where she just wants a home, I thought was extremely believable, and how she kind of is. I don't. She's her entire journey from meeting Freddy to learning who Freddy is, then how she has to rationalize that in her head based off her previous beliefs and what she knows of Freddy, even though she's still mad at him for lying to her, even though he tried so stinking hard to tell her at one point. At a good point of the story. It was not one of those, oh, he had 3 tries and he kept going on about it. It's like, no, first chance he got to tell her where to try and wear stuff, he got to, I'm a werewolf.
Yeah.
It's like, Batty, you should have caught on what he's trying to say to you by now, but I'll accept that you didn't get it. And maybe that's why she doesn't get too mad at him when she learns he's actually a werewolf.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the way her character was handled on all this. I do have to wonder, though, if dogs are intelligent enough to be able to carry on conversations with wolf humans, why they don't act smarter as dogs. Why aren't the humans picking up on more intelligence than they're seeing?
Right.
But then at the same time, they just see the werewolves as wolves. So, and the wolves can't communicate in human language. So
Right.
I guess I kind of get that, but still. Anyway, what's your third like?
My third like is, do you get a Hamlet / The Lion King kind of vibe from this film?
I brought that up a minute ago.
You did.
It's very Macbeth.
Yeah, Macbeth. That's the one I was looking for.
That's really
Macbeth.
what it feels more like, is Macbeth.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go through with it. Is my problem.
Mm. Well, being a person who has never read Macbeth,
I've been in a play that was parodying Macbeth.
Okay.
Well, it was about a play company that was extremely low, extremely a no budget theater.
Yeah.
Putting on Macbeth.
Oh, okay.
Is what I was in a production of a no budget theater play.
Right.
Putting on Macbeth. I mean, our costumes for that play, we had like a Coke, you know the Coke can things right here.
Yeah,
Yes?
the tabs.
The tabs. We had chainmail made up of those.
Seen that.
Our trumpets were plungers.
Go figure.
Yeah, it was meant to look just cheesy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I know of Macbeth. I've not actually read Macbeth myself.
Ah, okay.
I own a copy of the Klingon Hamlet, but that doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah. So either or, be like, yeah, like definitely Lion King of this idea of the uncle betrays and the uncle who's trying to scheme and the son who is lost and he comes back and reveals the uncle's devious schemes. And I enjoyed that for the most part. I was like, oh, okay, I'm definitely gonna like, for someone who watched the Lion King growing up, and it's a far superior movie to this one.
Yes.
But I like when you get those kind of vibes and you get that sense of, it's like, oh, okay, I get a lot of Shakespearean kind of like tension and drama going on in this movie.
We'll get to some more of that stuff in a few minutes.
Yeah. So that's my third like. What's yours?
My third like is the lighting coming off the moon.
Yeah.
During pretty much throughout the entire movie. I mean, they never use it as like a widespread thing. It feels like it's more of a moon laser beam in some ways, but that makes sense with kind of the wolf transformation ceremony and such, and how they have to make that work, later on in the film. Or maybe it's just like a moon bright spot. It's hard to tell exactly what that is, but I did like the way the moon at least felt special.
Yeah.
In this. And the whole transformation when they're in the when they're in the subway and the sun keeps hitting him. And,
it flickers and just
and it flickers. It's like,
yeah.
I said, oh, I bet that does hurt. Just trying. It's only your second transformation. It's at a bad part of the day. It's after you've been used to being on all fours for more than 12 hours. I bet that does hurt, especially since your transformation looks a ton more painful than everybody else's does. But yeah. I like the way the light worked with the transformations.
I gotcha.
Which brings us to our dislikes. What's your first?
My first dislike, and this could be a rant. Dogs versus werewolves? Really? And here's my explanation here. So the werewolves in this movie are...
I can answer your question as to why the dogs and the werewolves are fighting each other. Or don't like each other.
Yeah.
And the answer is racism.
Okay, explain that.
I think it's analogous to racism.
Okay.
Because they're both canines.
Yeah.
One just happens to also turn into humans and is a lot bigger when they are dogs.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Which then raises the question. Well, this is going to lead into my dislike why he's the only werepoodle.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I like that analogy. I do. I really do like that analogy.
I really think it's kind of a racism thing, and it's them putting aside their racial stereotypes to work together to take out the real bad guys.
Yeah, agreed. That's a very good point.
That's the closest thing I can think of what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I do.
I don't even think that worked too well.
Yeah, I completely agree. The fact that the werewolves are the superheroes that are going around and saving humans, but they don't like humans. They're going around saving humans, but that
just reminds me what it kind of is more like. X-Men. The werewolves are X-Men.
Because they're being persecuted by the dog.
They're heroes trying to save
humanity,
trying to save people, but everyone hates them.
Yeah,
the humans don't like them. Well, most humans don't care, except for the ice cream man, which we'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah, that's just too weird.
It's kind of like, it's very much an X-Men thing of trying to save the world, including the people who hate you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Kind of like the allegory of that, not allegory, but Jesus to be like, love those who persecute you, love those who hate you.
Right.
But it's just be like I love your points. I do absolutely love those. Those are really good points. And it's just like, what in the world is going on here? And it's just like we never really get a full explanation of be like, is there a dog league who they are against? Because all we see them going, be like, they never fight against the dogs. There's never really any, but like plot points. This is completely utterly dropped, except be like they don't like each other, and apparently they're in some kind of war. But we're never shown any of this, and it's just like dogs don't like werewolves.
And werewolves don't like dogs.
Yeah, that's about it. There's no really a real explanation why. There's be like Hotel Transylvania, for example. Be like gives really good examples of why you don't trust humans in this and this and this.
Right.
This movie gives you nothing except be like, oh, we just don't like each other. We're at war with each other. No explanation why there's a war. Nothing.
Saying war, and I don't even remember them bringing up war, other than dogs and wolves don't like each other, and because they're in each other's territory, I guess.
Maybe.
And I get why the dogs are scared of the werewolves, because the werewolves are huge.
Yeah.
And they're much bigger dogs, and they don't appear to be friendly because they don't like dogs.
True.
And admittedly, most of the werewolves we see in this film are the aristocratic.
Yeah, exactly.
People who feel they live on a house on top of a hill, overlooking the town.
They're entitled.
They're extremely entitled.
But they're running around like superheroes saving humans.
That's actually where I bring up the question. Why are they doing that?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
And I guess while Flashheart is leading him, he's just kind of a good guy.
Yeah.
And so he sees this as part of his duty as maybe semi-ruling over people's, like, because of the great power with great responsibility.
Yeah.
Maybe is what his thinking is. Granted, we'll get more into this in a minute when I get to one of my dislikes.
Right.
But anyway.
But it's like I'd be like, I would have loved to see if they could have fleshed this out a little bit more, of seeing be like why there's so much tension. Like your explanations are very well done, the allegory with racism and the whole bit.
But it's all guesswork.
It's all guesswork at the point because we're giving nothing except, oh, we don't like each other, or we're at war, or we're in conflict with each other.
Something.
Why?
You know what? I'm gonna jump ahead to my second
go for it.
Dislike. I'm going to skip the one I initially was teasing for, and I'll come back to it later. There are too many antagonists in this film.
Thank you.
And the reason there's too many antagonists is because there's too many plot lines.
Yeah, agreed.
And there's too many plot lines because I really feel like this was intended to be the pilot film for a TV series, which apparently there was a TV series based on this. Because what it feels like is they had to introduce all the villains at one time. So you've got Hotspur, who I still think of as Wolf Scar.
Yeah.
Because that's who he is.
Yeah, pretty much.
You've got, and he's at least competent as a villain. Not very good villain, but he's at least competent. Unlike the lady who has the machine that turns dogs into wigs somehow.
Oh gosh, that stupid plot.
The Doberman who went nowhere.
True. We got beat up by the Chihuahua, apparently.
Which was hilarious. And I have other problems with that scene, but they're actually not able to make my dislike list because I had so many other dislikes based on that scene. But
right.
And then you've got him. Did you ever watch a show called Fairly Odd Parents?
No.
On Nickelodeon?
Nope.
Do you know the shtick of the show? The basic idea?
Yeah, I think so.
Timmy has, he thinks he has a crappy life.
Yeah.
So he gets fairy godparents to grant him wishes, and every wish he grants causes trouble, and he has to learn, maybe things are all right the way they are, and it's not as bad as he thinks it is, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things he continually has to deal with is the fact that his teacher is an insane person who's trying to catch fairies.
That makes...
And has about the same resources as this ice cream man. For no good reason.
Yeah.
What is with our modern kids property creators and creating characters who technically should be so poor that they can't afford the cars they're driving.
Yeah.
And give them so many resources enough to build a werewolf museum that's not even done very well, by the way.
Yeah.
What we saw. A ice cream truck that is filled with spy equipment.
Is a mobile lab?
Yeah. It has a DNA splicer in it.
Yeah. What the?
That is on the same control panel as the strawberry ice cream, I might add. For that stupid joke.
Right.
Also, did you catch how it's separated Freddy's DNA when he finally got that?
Yeah, it's like
100% wolf, 100% kid, and 100% dog. That's 300%.
Yeah.
And even if you actually did that correctly and was doing 33, and we'll say 34 to make an even 100.
Yeah.
Dog and wolf are going to be close enough together. One thing, he shouldn't have any wolf technically because he's werewolf.
Yeah.
That's different than wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not even a werewolf. He's a werepoodle.
That's true. He's a werepoodle.
So wolf should not even be in the genetic makeup of this kid.
Mm.
It should be 50% human, 50% poodle.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that stupid tech, the super tech that he got from I don't know, the fairy godparents he must have caught in order to generate this equipment. I don't know where it came from.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The guy had no money.
He couldn't get people to buy his own ice cream.
He got people to buy the ice cream. We only saw one customer.
Yeah, we did.
And she called him weird. And the guy is so insane that he thinks his stuffed monkey is alive.
Mm-hmm.
This guy shouldn't be allowed near kids.
Creed.
Much less selling them ice cream.
True.
I don't understand this character trope in modern kids stuff.
Yeah.
Of the random guy who is the evil perpetrator of all the dastardly deeds in the area. He can't. Okay, here's the thing. He's got an ice cream truck and a werewolf museum.
That is not selling well at all.
It's not selling well. Why do you not? Obviously, the werewolf stuff is not selling well. Maybe switch that out. Have a mobile werewolf museum thing and a ice cream parlor where you can get people to come in and spend money in your establishment, and you can sell them more than just a scoop a day.
True.
Have a restaurant built up. Now, granted, I still don't think you kids should be allowed anywhere near this place because you're a nut. But with all these antagonists and all these plot lines, you have too much to keep up with for what is essentially a very shallow story.
It is very shallow.
Good night. It feels like we just ran across. It's so shallow. Your feet barely get wet, but you have to run 100 miles to get to the end of this film because of how many different plot points it has to run through.
Mm-hmm.
Even though your feet barely get wet.
Yeah.
There are just too many antagonists and too many plot lines for what feels like this is one movie.
Mm-hmm.
There was no guarantee of a TV show. There never is a guarantee of a TV show.
Right.
Unless this was made as like Star Wars The Clone Wars was.
Yeah.
Where they knew they were making the TV show was being made first, and then they decided to make a movie to introduce it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be one thing. And if that's what happened, that kind of makes sense. But this really does feel like, oh, we just need to have a lot. We need to have him face so many obstacles that's going to be next to impossible for him to get back in time. And that's not even getting into the fact that those other two kids were locked in the attic and their dad never noticed it.
Oh gosh, that plot point.
For 24 hours. In an unconditioned attic. I wanted them to turn into to backfire on their father and turn into dogs. and actually be Freddy's friends. That's really kind of where it felt like it was going to go for a while after they were stuck up there for a while. It's like, oh, they're going to come down and they're going to be like, dude, why do we do that? Let's, no one ever came. We don't want to be wolves. We want to go hang out, do all this other stuff. I don't know. Maybe they're antagonists later too. And that's why they didn't get a good role either.
Maybe.
I don't know. But anyway, what's your second dislike?
My second dislike, like you brought it up, so I'm switching it up a little bit. Like you said before, there's too many antagonists, but like you have the uncle who wants to crave power, and he does he's the good villain. Everybody else is a second tier joke of a villain.
Yes,
like you have the kennel owner who's just like, really, your whole stick is be like, you want to make wigs and you're in cahoots with the uncle. Like that is just like, what in the, I mean, like, I understand you're trying to make a bigger story, but this is more confusing than anything else, and it's stupid. And then you get the Doberman who goes nowhere with that story.
Don't get me started on the Doberman. Do you realize the Doberman could have had a really good redemption arc, and he was moments from it?
Yeah, agreed.
But he never did anything with it, and they never showed him being a little iffy when they were doing the widescreen shot of him on the computer monitor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because they were showing him being iffy.
Yeah.
Watching that animation.
Yeah.
Like, do I do something? Do I not do something? And then he doesn't do anything and that's his last scene, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, you were this close.
And we
greatness.
Doberman. We never get a resolve of his character.
Cerberus.
Yeah, Cerberus.
Yes.
Yeah, we never get a full solution to his story arc because the little mad chihuahua like shows up. I can't remember the character's name, but it's just mad chihuahua. Shows up. Twitchy. That makes sense. Twitchy shows up in all rage and just blows the machine up because apparently, little chihuahuas can do that, and the machine turns dogs into hair pieces.
I mean, when you go berserk,
that's true.
Though, granted, the animation of her going, that's one of the biggest problems with the animation in this. And this isn't one of my dislikes. It's just a point I'm bringing up.
Mm-hmm.
There is no dynamic action at all in any of this animation.
No, there's not.
It is all very like utilitarian. It's like, yeah, they animated her attacking, but they never made it look like it was anything more than the computer model hitting it.
Yeah.
They never made it look like it was fast or ferocious or anything. Mm-hmm. It's just like, or when she gets vacuumed up somehow.
Yeah.
I just don't get how that worked. From as far away as she was.
Yeah.
If she was still in the cell, I'd have given it to him. But even that, she doesn't look like it's not animated very well. But anyway,
yeah, agreed. Yeah, and then you get the ice cream dude. He shows up. He like, oh, I'm gonna help this kid because he's getting kidnapped by werewolves. And he's the only person around who's a werewolf conspiracist, and he's hell bent on destroying the werewolves because they ate this kid. And it's just like, it's like, what in the world? Like, your point was great because I loved your point of the fact to be like, he's this guy who sells ice cream, but for some reason he can have an entire tech lab with like an entire wolf arsenal behind him because he has their stone. And like, none of that I understand it's a funny little kid thing, but like, just give us something to grab onto.
The problem is not that it's a kid's movie and they did things solely for the point of it being, oh, this would be funny, this would make the kids laugh.
Yeah.
The problem is there's no logic behind it.
No, there's not.
And that's the difference here. You look at stuff like Disney and Pixar and DreamWorks, Epic and Sony Pictures Animation, and what's the one that Warner Brothers had? Animal Logic.
Yeah.
They all make a point that if they do something goofy, they either make it obvious this is meant solely for the joke and you're not supposed to think about it.
Yeah.
Or they get you plenty of logic behind what's happening.
Yeah, and there's none in this.
There's no logic in this film. It's just like, oh, this is happening because it's a cartoon.
Yeah. Just pure craziness. Oh, he now has a tech in his ice cream truck, and there's nothing to this. Be like, is this guy selling black market ice cream for Like, what's going on? Is like, he has
How
all
can
this
he
werewolf
afford
tech.
it?
Yeah, exactly.
He's an ice cream salesman, and obviously no one believes his werewolf stuff.
Yeah, because he's like a kook.
Yes.
But
So how can he afford half of this?
Yeah, so like you have the tech lab,
At
which
least
he
give
can
me-
analyze everything.
At least give me the joke that he has taken out so many loans, he's always being chased around by creditors.
Yeah,
I think Fairly Odd Parents at least did that. But this is just like, no, he's just a kooky, crazy ice cream man who's for some reason has a lot of money.
yeah,
Maybe he inherited it. We don't know.
yeah. No explanation to it. Like a lot in this movie, there's no real explanation. Oh, it's just this. That's
Yeah.
it. Like a little kid will understand if you give them a little bit of a diamond of a story, and it's like, oh, this is the reason. Oh, that makes sense.
And the thing is, we're not asking for much.
No.
We're not asking for a whole scene that explains this. I'm asking for one line in a strategic place that will explain what's going on. I don't need a big, drawn out half-hour sequence. I need, oh yeah, it's a good thing that we inherited all that money from my great aunt Maurice or whatever.
Yeah.
That would have answered that question. I would have moved on. It's like, okay, he's flush with money because he inherited a bunch of it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Oh, why does she want to make wigs out of dogs? Well, she's I don't know.
She's bald, apparently.
Well, she is bald. There's that joke. But I mean, it's like a dog. She just has a preference for dog fur, or maybe she's just killing two birds with one stone. She needs a quick way to make a lot of wigs, and he needs a way to get rid of dogs. Tell me that.
Yeah.
I may think it's stupid. I may think it's dumb, but it makes as much sense as Cruella de Vil wanting to skin 199 puppies to make a coat.
Mm-hmm.
And I accept that.
Yeah.
Give me an explanation, especially since one of these dogs that you're going to make a wig out of is a Chihuahua. How much hair are you getting off a Chihuahua? It ain't a big dog to begin with, and it don't got much hair. Now, granted, I know where you're getting it from the Scotty. He's got plenty of hair. I can't remember his name, but the one that only says ball.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't have much fur either.
I think it's Bruce,
Bruno, because I kept thinking, oh yeah, we could say we don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah.
And then it's like that joke never is going to come up, except we just said it.
Yeah. Nobody talks about Bruno. Ball.
Because
ball,
he only
ball,
says ball. Ball. It's like, did you just record the creepiest guy saying that word and just got him to say it about 7 times so you could throw it in at random spots? Because that's what it sounds like you did. But anyway.
But yeah, it's like you said, it has too many plot points, and it has way too many antagonists, and half the antagonists make no sense whatsoever. It's like, just make it the uncle, make it the assistant, and be like, why do you have to drag the ice cream guy back into the story when obviously it makes no sense? But like, yeah, he's trying to find revenge for this kid, but it just like, yeah.
You want to fix this? It's there's actually a very easy thing to do. Don't have the ice cream man be so revenge stricken on being vengeful for this kid. Yeah, he found the moonstone, so of course he has it. He doesn't know what it is. He probably doesn't even know it's connected to the wolves. Don't show him making that connection at the beginning. Just have him find this weird diamond ring thing.
Yeah,
and he just doesn't feel like giving it up, and that's why they have to go to his place to get it, because he's got the ring. Do that, and then when you get there, you give this whole explanation about how he's afraid of dogs and wolves because he saw the werewolf, quote unquote, eat that kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then that gives you your explanation for that character without him being a tertiary antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. So that is my second dislike. What is your third?
Oh, I'm still on my second.
Okay.
Why is he the only were-dog?
That is true.
I can at least give this much explanation. He's the only werewolf of his age. We'll give him that much.
Okay.
The only other characters we see his age in the film
Mm-hmm.
that technically could be were-dogs are his cousins,
Yeah.
and they are apparently not old enough to transform yet.
Yeah.
So they could be dogs, and we don't know it.
Yeah.
But if this is really a trend, why is he the only were-dog we've seen so far? Why are they acting like this is new? And for what reason do the quote-unquote mythical moon gods that supposedly decide what type of wolf you turn into, which is the only explanation we get for any of this, why did they decide to turn him into a dog? Why?
The only explanation I can figure out is that he can, bring the two groups together. That's the only reason I can think of.
And if you had given me like a weird prophecy kind of thing that maybe would have spoke to that, give me more of a hint other than he's a dog. Well, then we hate him. He's obviously not good enough to be a wolf. It's like, does this happen before and you've had to expel people because through no fault of their own they turned into dogs? Is this a thing? It's brought up to give an excuse as to why he's got to go find the moonstone in 24 hours, but they never go into why this is a big deal, other than they just hate dogs.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, then, are all the dogs in this universe descended from werewolves who turned into dogs instead of wolves? And then for some reason they now can't turn back into humans?
They're stuck?
They would give an explanation as to why they're still, as intelligent as the wolves, while other animals like the cat weren't. That's the only explanation I can come up with.
So here's one I'm just kind of mulling over, see if you like it or not. So what if, because there again, we don't know about the mother.
There's a lot that they don't explain in this film.
No, there's not. So the mother, like Freddy's mother, we're never given an explanation who she was. We know she died at some point, but
and I can accept she was the dog. She was a dog.
Yeah, that could have been it. Be like he married her for love, not that could be like she was a were-dog. He kept that secret, and maybe he was going to tell his son that, be like, hey, this is going to happen when you when you do your howling.
And you can tell he was kind of sort of prepping him for the idea that he wasn't going to be a big bad wolf like his father was,
right?
Because he was given this whole thing about, it doesn't matter what kind of wolf you are on the outside, it matters the wolf you are on the inside.
Right.
And it's not our choice what type of wolf we turn into when we turn. It's all sorts of trying to instill that it's whatever. The fact that you're not going to be what you want to be is not your fault.
Yeah.
And it doesn't change who you are, is what he's trying to instill in him as a child from a young age. But of course he's a kid and doesn't care.
Yeah.
He wants to be, just as cool and big and bad a wolf as his dad is.
Of course.
I get.
Of course.
But you get the feeling his father's not even that surprised.
Right.
When he meets his son and he's a poodle. Like, he's confused at first because, he wasn't expecting a poodle to be thrown into his cage. But then he would have been just as surprised if another wolf got thrown in there and it happened to have been his son too.
Yeah.
He kind of knew once he realized, oh, wait a minute, this is my dad. This is my son. Well, of course, he's a poodle. That's why his mother was too. Why am I surprised? It's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, but it's never explained.
No.
And that would have been a great explanation. Like, you get in this flashback to kind of like how they do in Hotel Transylvania, is like you get this how much he loved his wife and like the whole bit, but it's one of those things where like maybe she was like, murdered or something like that. She died in an accidental death or something like that.
She got run over by a car.
Yeah, something like that.
Chasing a ball out into the street.
Yeah.
Because you can tell the dog tendencies are strong in Freddy also.
Yeah. I gotta get that cat.
Yeah. Maybe she was chasing a cat and got hit by a car accidentally.
Yeah. But
just something.
There again, we're not given any explanations to this movie except, oh, here's our story. That's it.
It's like, oh, I wish Mom was still here. She says, yeah, I wish she was too.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get home.
Anyways.
We on your third?
Yes.
Did you finish your third?
No, I have not.
Finish your third.
My final and third dislike of this movie. Oh, the animation in this movie. There's one point where Freddy is going into the werewolf museum and literally the camera stops, scans him, And I'm not joking because I had to go back and rewatch this again. So I watch it and the camera turns down and it stops. And then it goes back.
Mhm.
Like the animation stops. I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe it's my streaming. Maybe it's just, maybe I didn't see it right. Nope. I go back. It's the exact same thing. We have freaking we have animation, like severe animation errors in this movie. And don't get me started on how they animate like young Freddy. Not yeah. Oh my gosh. Be like, he is
All
like
the
over
humans.
all the human characters. Oh my god, the character designs. Like there's one part where Freddy is going
character
in.
designs are reminiscent of Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you shouldn't be reminiscent of that style because that was a bad style. We're gonna have to review that movie because I've heard the movie's actually pretty decent. But
okay. But
the
it's
show
just,
wasn't.
oh my gosh. Like there's so many stinking little errors throughout this entire thing. It's like, I understand, be like, if you're like a young animation group and you're trying to do something, I get it. Your animation errors are going to happen. But just like, oh my gosh, the animation in this movie is just, like you have like enormous errors going on through this film constantly. You have just like like sometimes it looks like it's rough animation. In some scenes, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Like the dynamics are not good. And just like throughout the entire film, I'm like, ugh, can I be watching something else than this? The entire time.
I'm going to jump in on this because this kind of fits into what my third dislike is.
Yeah.
Isn't that this is a cheap, safe movie?
Yeah, it is a cheap, safe movie.
And you can tell it's cheap because they went with character models that they didn't actually have to animate a whole lot.
True.
All of the hair is plastic.
Yeah, literally.
And I don't just mean the human hair.
Wish Dragon did better.
Dog hair looks plastic.
It does.
It has
Wolf
a
hair.
fur texture, right? But this looks like... Okay, yeah. You're right. Wish Dragon did a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another movie we saw in 3D that we did not like the 3D we did not like the 3D art design on.
Okay. Which one is that?
Dragon Ball Super Superhero.
Oh gosh.
That animation, as much as it had to take a long time to grow on me, really about half the movie, before I really got to where it's like, yeah, this is fine. Even though that animation I eventually accepted.
Yeah.
I'm not still not 100% happy with it.
Yeah.
But I accepted it. This never gets to the point of acceptance.
Yeah.
Because the entire time I'm looking at it and going, good night, I think the Barbie movies are animated better than this.
Oh, gosh.
I bet you the Bratz movies are animated better than this.
Oh.
And if I could think of the third fashion dolls, the ones that are based off Monster High.
Yeah.
Those are animated better than this. Good night. I'll tell you what's animated better than this. Reboot from 93, 94?
93, 94.
When the fact that they were able to produce it at all was considered high art.
Wow.
This is animated poorly.
It is.
Everything feels like it is students' first animation.
In some cases,
down to, for no good reason, the opening titles all being the same size as the screen. I didn't understand that at all. Almost every character's hair feels like it's physically a part of their head, as in they are one object, not a bunch of hairs attached to a human head.
Right.
None of the like I said, all the hair feels like plastic, which is really weird when you consider the art design they went with for the werewolves in their human form, which all kind of have this wild hair look, like they're mangy wolves.
Yeah.
But in a human form, especially Hotspur with his mustache.
Oh gosh, the mustache.
That looked horrible. I was somewhat joking when I said we might have accidentally started Bad Movie Month a week early. I am not exaggerating by much. dude, I'm not even trying to be mean about this.
Right.
I'm just speaking the truth. The only reason I'm saying that the bad movie month movies are worse, well, Emoji Movie is going to be fairly close, but on concept alone, this is just so stinking cheap from an animation perspective, and the story is so safe from a storytelling perspective that it's not going to challenge any kids, despite the fact there is a somewhat subplot of a racism allegory thrown in there that they didn't really do anything with.
Yeah, agreed. They somewhat did with it, but it's not just
And here's the thing. I'm sure this is, I don't think I've ever spoken about what it is about this part of how I feel about things, but I think I've kind of touched on that with a few other reviews. If you are making something for kids, you should not be talking down to them.
Agreed.
You should be talking to them like, maybe not like they're adults, but you should be challenging them to make them think about what you're saying and to work with it. That's what Disney does for the most part. That's what Pixar does nearly every movie. That's what DreamWorks does. That's what Epic Blue Sky, as safe as Blue Sky's movies were half the time, they challenged kids to think about stuff.
Agreed.
Animal Logic, especially with the Lego films, at least was they were mostly making comedies, but there are legitimate, actual plot stories in there that are meant to make you think about, or meant to make kids maybe think about this and trying to figure out why people are acting the way they're acting. And it's not just I'm not saying American films are the only ones that do this. Like I said, we watched Dragon Ball Superhero.
Yeah.
Well, for us, that is a teenager to adult movie.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of violence and action in it. In Japan, that's a kid's film.
Yeah.
And they, as much as there's probably not a whole lot of thinking, they did not talk down to those kids with that film.
Yeah, agreed.
They did not. Granted, at this stage, you're playing to a larger audience with Dragon Ball than if it was like fresh off the thing. But that you should look at Studio Ghibli. And I'm not even talking about stuff like that's, the very obvious story stuff, the very obvious stuff like Grave of the Fireflies. It's got a super serious message, even though we know some of the issues with that.
Yeah.
Or Ocean Waves, which I hated, or Pompoko, the raccoon movie, the Raccoon War movie.
Yeah.
They did not. If that movie had been made over here in America, just because of our things, they would have left out what caused the raccoons to transform in the first place, which I'm not going to talk about here.
Right.
But they just showed that just because, this is what it is. The safest movie they did was My Neighbor Totoro. And even that has a lot, is going to make anyone who watches that film actually think about what's going on.
Yeah.
None of those films talk down to kids. The closest thing we've watched that I think we both liked that felt like it was talking down to kids, and I'm thinking of, is Rockadoodle. And even that, it's Don Bluth. Don Bluth has always made sure his stuff was stuff you had to think about, no matter what age you were. The Addams Family one that we reviewed last year.
Yeah.
It's the closest I can think to this. And even it made you think.
Yeah.
This movie does not make you think about a stupid thing other than how long until this movie is over. Literally, that's what I was thinking as I was going through it. Because it's like, okay, yeah, you're making good choices. So some good choices on this story here. But I literally am not having to you're not challenging any preconceived notion with this. You've made it so safe. And to make matters worse, because you're playing it so safe, you've actually made it to where I can't get invested with any of the characters. I feel I didn't care for any of these characters.
Hmm.
I tried to look at it as with as open a mind as I thought as I could, and there are characters who could have been characters I liked, but the movie did nothing to make me want to like them. They didn't make me care about any of these characters, because admittedly, I knew by the end of it that Freddy was going to have to come to terms with being a werepoodle.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of knew what he was going to have to do. And guess what? That's what he did. The only thing that tugged at my heartstrings was Batty's story.
Yeah.
And that didn't hold me in too much to make me actually care for her, other than just feel bad for her.
Okay.
This movie does not challenge anything. And that's why I ultimately don't like it. It's not making you think.
Yeah.
And there are so many kids' movies that I would consider to be shallow that do a better job of making kids think than this movie does.
Mm. Fair. Completely fair.
And if I talk anymore, I'm going to start rattling.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead. That was my last dislike.
Yes.
So we need to rate this thing.
I want to hear yours first.
4.
Okay.
That is
Fair.
the lowest rating so far I have given a film.
Hmm.
And the reason I'm rating it so low is because it's too safe. It's too easy.
Hmm.
It's too cheap. It's too cheap to be wanted to care. There are going to be movies we review over the course of over Bad Movie Month. Yeah, some of them were made just to make the cheap buck, but some are actually, they were trying to make a good film and it just went bad.
Yeah.
Extenuating circumstances caused it to go weird, or maybe they just had a weird thought because, from a different country, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
This feels like they played it so safe that they knew exactly that they knew they weren't going to be offensive to anybody.
Fair.
And I'm sorry, to some degree, I think if you make a movie, at least somebody somewhere should find something, should be offended at least a little bit by it to some degree.
Hmm.
And this movie is so safe, no one could be offended by it other than how cheap it is.
Fair.
What do you rate it?
I'm gonna give it a 5. I'd be like, this is a movie that, like, I do agree with one of your points earlier with the idea it is kind of a racial viewpoint allegory in a way.
In some ways, that is also a safe decision to throw into this.
Okay, fair.
Everyone talks about racism.
True. I do like that point. There are certain points in the movie I do like. The animation was standing is just somewhat garbage. There's some scenes where it's good, and most of the time it's not that great. And there's too much stuff going on. Be like, for a little kid, this would be a fun film. An adult, it'll drive you up the wall. But I'm gonna give it a 5. It's in the middle. I'm not gonna say it's garbage, but it's not a pile of garbage.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm giving it a 5.
Shall we then move on to something we probably both will consider to be much better entertainment?
Possibly.
Like some Rapunzel's Tangled adventure?
Yeah.
And the masters of the universe.
Cats are on the move. Cats are loose. Cocktails, woo.
Let's get dangerous.
First episode of the night, Pascal's Dragon. Directed by Shane Zalvin and written by Dave Schiff. Summary is that Pascal befriends a baby dragon, but as the dragon grows, Pascal has to choose between his new friend and the safety of Corona. Which is like, what, 2 days?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe? Guest cast for this includes Peter McNichol as Nigel, Suzanne Blakesley as Old Lady Crowley, Diedrich Bader as Stan the Guard, Sean Hayes as Pete the Guard, D. Bradley Baker as Little Big Guy, and Steve Blum as additional voices.
Nice.
And it took a bit to figure out that D. Bradley Baker is the one who voiced the dragon because it didn't say that on the IMDb, but it said it on like I found it somewhere else. I don't remember where.
Okay.
Anyway, trivia for this. The episode's title is a nod to the movie Pete's Dragon. This is the first episode of the series to air after 2 months of hiatus, and is the first episode of the series to air in a new decade. I think this was in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time a dragon appears during an episode of the series. So what are your thoughts?
Man, this is a good episode. It's one of those, it's almost a filler episode, but it gives you a lot of really good story.
Yeah.
Like whenever we get a Pascal driven story, it's always good.
Because Pascal, I think, is ultimately like the best boy of the series.
Yeah, agreed.
And he doesn't get a lot of spotlight. That's the word I'm looking for. He doesn't get a lot of spotlight, so when he does, they use it very well.
They do. I agree. The fact to be like we get a freaking dragon in this show.
Yes,
and there's dragons in this universe, which is freaking amazing because I love when they do that.
Yeah.
The fact
there was a point though I was tempted to text you when I was watching it this afternoon. It's like, how many more scenes are they going to steal from How to Train Your Dragon? Because they stole one immediately, and they stole another one that I looked at and I thought it was from How to Train Your Dragon, but the more I paid attention to it, I realized, no, they didn't steal that scene from How to Train Your Dragon. They stole that from The Rescuers Down Under.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But I like the idea that I think it's Nigel.
Yes.
Yeah, Nigel. Like we first see him in the last episode of Fear or something.
Yeah.
But we are introduced to him first, and his backstory is very interesting. He tried to raise a dragon, and the dragon nearly destroyed the town. He had to let go of the dragon, and I understand his motivation of we can't trust dragons, and
clearly we can.
Yeah, clearly you can, and it's this idea that like Pascal just attaches himself to this this dragon and and they start sharing each other's traits, and I thought that was really interesting. That Pascal at one point starts turning into a dragon, and I thought it was really he blows fire, which is that's a cool little lizard.
I was so hoping that was going to be a permanent change. That because he befriended this other dragon, he get dragon abilities, which means then obviously what's going to be the super final fight of this franchise series. I know there's a super final fight because I've seen the screenshots, that Disney Plus puts on there on the episodes. And one of them is obvious, Felix says not the character's name, Eugene on the back of a horse getting ready to charge. So it's like, well, I know that there's a big battle coming. But now we don't have little Pascal Dragon that's going to come by and help him because apparently he didn't get to keep those powers.
Yeah, which was
little
sad.
Big Guy left.
Yeah,
which then makes me think, please, have little Big Guy make a quick appearance during the series finale. Just one little dragon to come in and just kind of show Cassandra what she's missed.
Oh gosh, but yeah, this was a good episode.
Her best friend's chameleon has made friends with a dragon.
And Rapunzel's thing be like, oh, it couldn't hurt. It's just a marble. That's an awful big marble. Yeah,
that's that's the size of crystal ball that Madame Canardis would use.
Yeah. Oh gosh, but yeah, this was a fun episode. I really enjoyed it, and I'm trying to remember if there's more appearances of dragons later. I can't remember because it's been a while
If there
since.
is, don't tell me. I want to be surprised.
Yeah, same here.
But a part of me like really is really hoping little big guy will make one last appearance during the battle.
Yeah,
preferably coming into battle with Pascal riding him like Hiccup.
that would be funny. I don't recall that scene, but there again, it's been a while since I've watched the whole series.
Fair.
But really enjoyed it, and yeah, let's get into the next episode.
Yeah. Next episode is Islands Apart, directed by Philip Pignotti and written by Leanna Dindal. In this episode, Al makes a sudden reappearance while delivering a message that forces Eugene and Rapunzel to return to the island of Lorbs, where they reconnect with the captain of the guard. Guest cast for this includes Clancy Brown as King Frederick, MC Gainey as the captain of the guard, Hudson Deandra as Little Cassandra, Cassie Glow as Kid Cassandra. Yes, this was two separate people. Flula Borg as Alphonse, Jennifer Veal as Enchanted Girl, and Richard Stephen Horvitz as Jorn. Which, of course, he was Alpha 5 in Power Rangers. Trivia for this is that the episode's title is a play on Worlds Apart. Good night. This episode is fun.
It is fun. Okay, so
first
we go back to this island again.
Yeah,
it's like great.
The minute I heard we were going back to the island of the Lorbs, I thought, why? We spent too much time on this island to begin with.
True.
And we're going back. Or at least it's only two of us and it's only one episode. But they get back there and, well, you get that flashback and he's telling the story of how he kept looking for Cassandra. And we see Cassandra has been missing some sun.
Yeah,
Her skin tone has lightened considerably since the last time she showed up.
Yeah.
It's like,
huh.
You need some better skincare there, Cassandra. You think you're looking a little pale.
Sitting under the moon rocks a little too much?
A little too much, yes.
Oh gosh, but
and you can't even just blame that on his memory, because later on, when we actually see Cassandra, in present day, she's still at the very end. She still has the pale skin.
Yeah,
it's like Cassandra's a vampire now, a blue-haired anime vampire. Great. Yeah, we do get the return of the Lorbs, and of course they have their stupid magic that is dumb. Because it always is.
It's always dumb and it's always destructive.
Right. But in this case, it's like, oh yeah, you throw it's a wish fountain. You throw a coin in, you make a wish, and you get 9 days of peace. And then all
heck breaks loose.
Good night. I thought it was going to be bad when all the bird Cassandra showed up.
Oh, that was fun.
I thought, there's a callback I wasn't expecting. And then you get every other Cassandra and every other clothing that you've ever seen show up. And literally, when Black Rock Cassandra, which is what the closed captioning called her, showed up, I thought, is that the real one or is this another illusion? I need an answer right now.
Yeah, that was good.
And I should have known it was the fake one because she still had Cassandra still had normal skin. She wasn't white yet or pale yet.
Right.
But oh man, that whole sequence is like, I felt for him. He's got the last happy memory he truly had of Cassandra must have been when she was still 4. Because, he was busy. He couldn't always be there to take care of her.
Yeah.
And yeah, he loved her. And yeah, he was wanting to start over because he recognized he made a lot of mistakes. And probably feels just as guilty, if not more guilty, than Rapunzel feels for what Cassandra has done and how betrayed he must feel. So yeah, he's looking for an escape and a way to start over again. So honestly, I feel for the guy.
Yeah.
He is he is looking for a way to fix things. And unfortunately, he's gone down the wrong direction to fix things. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah, this is like, this episode is done very well. There are moments where it's the captain of the guard. He is like made his wish and he wants to be with his daughter. He wants to be with the daughter he remembers, and it's like you feel bad for him. Be like he just wants that peace. He wants the daughter he remembers, the daughter he loves, and not the daughter who betrayed him and left him to decay and rot in a cave.
Well, and what parent doesn't somewhat see their children as they were when they were young, when they were like 4 or 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like it's done very well. Of course, we get the orbs, not orbs, lorbs. That's it, lorbs. We get the lorbs, and we get the 9 days of be like, oh, the captain.
How many days has he had since the wish? Oh, right,
9, of course.
You didn't have to tell us that. We could have guessed that.
And then you get the onslaught of all the variant versions of Cassandra. Man. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna get good in a heartbeat. Yeah. And then it's the captain of the guard, the father, who is struggling with this. Be like, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to steal away with my. I know she's not real, or I think she's not real. I want my happiness, I want my joy.
Yeah.
And when he realizes what he's doing, he turns around and does the right thing. And when he's in the temple or whatever this is to retrieve the coin, is like little Cassandra is like, are you gonna leave me? Are you gonna leave me? It's just like, it's heartbreaking, but he realizes what he needs to do. He
also knows that person is not real.
Yeah.
For one thing, she doesn't have a shadow.
Yeah.
So she's not really there.
No. Yeah, agreed. It's the point where be like, when everything's said and done, it's like, let's go get my daughter back. And it's just like this man who has come to the realization that he's been living in a fantasy, he's been living in a lie, that he's wanted something so bad that he's lost sight of it. And now he's like Rapunzel, like he wants his daughter back. Like Rapunzel, she wants her best friend back.
Yeah.
And it's this desire to reunite with someone that has been lost. And it's this desire to just to have something back in your life, even though the odds of this person coming back are slim. Be like, there's still that hope and that chance that this person will turn around and things will be back to the way it was. We'll figure that out later.
Right.
But I really definitely with the conflict of the captain of the guard, his like entire time he wants this happiness. He wants to be selfish. He wants his personal selfish desires. But he realized if he does this, it's going to be the end of Rapunzel and Eugene. So he has to he has to fight back the urge to do the selfish thing and do the right thing. And I really, really enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good story.
This is a good episode. Highly suggest it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just kind of skipping through hitting the high points, this is a high point.
Yep.
Definitely give it a watch.
Yep. Exactly.
So I think that's going to be it for us for now.
I think we're also going into Bad Movie Month.
We are going into Bad Movie Month next time. So join us for the Emoji Movie.
Mm-hmm.
A movie I say is bad because of its very concept.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if execution holds up. It
True.
doesn't. But join us next time for that. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. his Instagram at Jacob B. Heron, his Twitter at Jacob Heron, and his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen, his Facebook page Drew's Photo Bin to see his photography, his Letterboxd page at ggeorge759, his Twitter at ggeorge759, and Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell, with a single L.
All right. Hey, can I get? Okay. Phew. Pow. Poof. Oh man, I'm human again. Where are my clothes? No!
My